Hello, everybody. Gonna wait for a couple of you guys to join up, and then we'll go ahead and get started with everything. Hello, hello. Let me know if you guys can hear me all right. Just let me know down in the chat, and then if you could see me, hear me all right, I think we should be good. Hey, Keith. Hello, Helio. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing all right. Hey, Greg. Awesome. There's gonna be a couple cool things today, of course. I'm gonna be sharing a good amount. So a lot of new features, a lot of fun stuff. Thank you, Dave, for letting me know as well. Just a good amount of things, right, to go over. So we're gonna make it very easy for you guys to understand, but also, bring a spotlight to the good features that are coming up and are even here already. So I'm excited to share these with you guys. And hey, Greg, good to have you here. And then, yeah, of course, I think we should be good to go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and do this. You guys let me know if you guys can see my screen really well in just a second. We'll get going from here. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can see my screen. If so, we should be good to go. Hey, Diogo. Hopefully I didn't butcher that name, but good to have you here as well. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get started with everything. So I know it's been a while since we had a webinar for you guys, but we've been working on a ton of stuff. We've taken a pretty much like a summer break to work on everything, make sure that we improve all the processes that we have right now. And then right now, we're going to be going over a recap of a spotlight of all the new features that we have. Okay. So that way you guys can go in and start playing around with a good amount of these, right? So a lot of them that I'm going to be discussing today have actually been launched already. So this is just a matter of you seeing exactly what's been launched. I'm going to recap it for you guys, and then you guys can go in there, play around with it, use it, whatever you want to do with it. I'll make sure to explain it really well so you guys can pretty much have the handles on it before jumping in straight ahead. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kevin Campos. I am the solutions architect of Synthflow, and I lead the solution engineering team. And I'm super excited, as always. I know to have you guys. I know I've done a bunch of webinars with you guys, so some of you may already know me, but if not, welcome in. Super excited to go over this with you guys from a start. So let's get going. All right. So as I mentioned, right, we're back from a quick summer break, summer hiatus, and we're kicking things off with a feature pack session. So there's going to be so many things that we're going to cover, and there's going to be a Q&A at the end of this. So please take note of what features you want to ask about. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get going. So the first thing is the language expansion, right? We, as you guys already know, right, we had not that many languages in the beginning, but now we have so many languages to go from. Here is a big list of all the languages that we currently support. Well, the additional languages that we now currently support, of course. So if you want to take a screenshot of this or anything like that, definitely do. You will have this recording as well at the end of the call. So everything is going to be on here. So we've done a huge language expansion. And I'm very excited about this. So the next thing is going to be the dashboard analytics. So what does this mean? You are now able to have a dashboard, an enhanced dashboard, moreover, right? Because we already had a dashboard before, but this one's like an enhanced version of this where you can view all the metrics that you want. You can create your own metrics, and you can basically have a way better overview of how your calls are performing so you can take actionable steps into bettering the performance of your voice AI assistant. All right. So this is a completely new feature. Um, some of the highlights, right, is that now you can monitor call volume, call status, and success rate. For the reporting, right, you can create reports without manual exports. We have quality assurance now, which you can basically find and address the quality issues with live metrics. And there are no steps required in order for you guys to make this possible. So you will have all key metrics in one place, and they're all optimized for speed and clarity. So you're going to have everything without needing to do anything on your end, right? So very, very cool feature. Please let me know if you guys have any questions on that. I'll get them answered in the chat as well. Now, custom evaluations. So this might be a little harder for some of you to understand, but then again, it is a pretty simple feature. The goal of custom evaluations, right, is for you guys can read over this as well, but I'm going to kind of simplify it to have you guys understand a little clearly. So we have the instant visibility, right? So the verdicts appear seconds after the conversation ends. So this is essentially you being able, like the custom evaluations are you being able to understand what happens during the call. This is not an info extractor or anything like that. This is more of a feature that you can, for example, rate a call of how it performed based off your evaluations from a scale of 1 through 10. That's just an example of it. Another one is, were you able to book an appointment during the call and then have that custom evaluation in there? And then eventually, these custom evaluations that you set up are goals that need to be met up that need to be met in the call per se. So you're going to have the availability of even being able to view this eventually in our analytics dashboards. So you can see how many calls you booked, you can see how many people called for a specific reason, you can see the ratings of each call, things like that, right? You can get very, very creative with all of this, right? So do keep that in mind. This will require a good amount of work from you guys, but then again, it's very easy to set up either way. So moving on, we have workflow templates, right? So we've created advanced batch 1 and 2. I've actually created this myself with the team. So the goal of this new workflow template is to make outbound calls like a breeze. It's going to be very easy. So with workflow templates advanced batch 1, you can automate outbound calls from a Google Sheet contact list, which is perfect for bulk sales, marketing, or just customer engagement in general. Now, this is how you can set up the advanced batch 1. What you're going to do is open your workflows tab. After you open your workflows tab, you're going to create a flow. And then once you create a flow, right, you can select presets and then select advanced batch 1. That is how you can actually plug in that template that we've created for you into your own workspace. All right. This can be in a sub account, it can be in your main workspace, wherever you want it to be. Now, this is where you can download that Google Sheet template, fill in your contact list, set up a webhook to trigger the workflow, adjust your business hours as needed, and then just trigger and test your workflow. That is the goal of the advanced batch 1. Now, with advanced batch 2, you can automate follow-up sequences to efficiently nurture leads. And you'll also be able to gather data from each of those calls plugged back into your Google Sheets. Now, keep in mind, all this will be recorded. You guys can go back to this so you can go back over what I said as well. A huge, huge feature that we have added is called memory. Now, your voice agents will never forget a conversation again. So with memory, your voice agents will be able to deliver pretty much a personalized experience across multiple conversations. So callers pretty much never have to repeat themselves again. So it's a matter of getting continuous context. So if somebody calls in, I'm a big example guy. If somebody calls in, let's say you're a healthcare clinic, for example. Somebody calls in, they book in an appointment right with their doctor, their preferred doctor. Then the next time that they call in, let's say a week later, that same person, the voice AI assistant will identify that person's name. It will identify the reason they called last, and it would also tell them, "Hey, are you still gonna want to meet with your preferred doctor, which is X?" Okay, so it has the ability to remember exactly what happened in the past, not only from one conversation in the past, but from all conversations in the past. Very cool feature to have. As you can see here, this is kind of it showcasing what the memory looks like and how you can set it up. But essentially, it's just a matter of going into your deployment tab. And then from your deployment tab, you're going to have a memory box right there, which you're going to create a memory. And then you're just going to plug in that memory as the deployment. All right. So it's going to be very easy to set up. It's just 3 clicks, you're done. Now, Salesforce Service Cloud integration. So, enterprise users can now connect directly to Salesforce Service Cloud with OAuth for seamless ticket creation, updates, and CRM integration. So, this helps with automated ticket handling, instantly create and update cases, leads, contacts, and opportunities in Salesforce during live calls. We also have enterprise grade security, which is OAuth based authentication, which ensures secure, compliant access for your team specifically. And then flexible CRM support. So we basically have designed it for Salesforce Service Cloud with integrations on requests with other platforms using OAuth, including Zoho, Zendesk, and Intercom. Right. So this is basically to enable connect your account to Salesforce and then deploy via a simple custom action. Okay. Now, this is where you're going to be able to connect your Salesforce, and that's where you're going to have pretty much the need to play around with that connection and make everything that you need possible with Salesforce. It's going to be very easy to do. Right. Now we have voice parameters. So there's so many things we've added for voice parameters. Here we listed mainly three. So now your voice agents sound even more natural and even more responsive with new parameters for voice, speed, volume, and interruption sensitivity. So, what do these mean? The first two are fairly simple. You can basically increase the speed of your agent's voice now. So, it doesn't matter what voice you choose from 11 Labs or anything, you clone a voice, whatever it is, you can adjust how fast that voice speaks. Then there's volume control, where you can actually adjust how loud that voice is. Now, interruption sensitivity is one of my favorite things that we've ever added, and I'll tell you guys why. I'm sure you guys have had some calls in the past where people just get interrupted a lot of the time. So it's kind of like somebody, let's say a voice AI agent is having a talk with a user, and then the user is doing active listening. So let's say the voice AI agent is telling it about their insurance, and then the user goes and it says, "Okay, I understand," or they say, "Okay," or "Got it." The voice AI, you guys already know, will cut out at that given moment. Now, what does interruption sensitivity do? This basically means that now you can add how many words it will take to interrupt an agent. So if the person is doing active listening, this basically means that they can say hello and they can say, okay, got it. And you can set your interruption sensitivity to go into 2 words or 3 words. My recommendation is you have it at set to 2 words, where if the person says 1 word, it's not going to stop the voice AI assistant from talking. All right. So hopefully that made sense to you guys. But there's so many things that are coming in as well. These are just three of them. All right. This is where you guys can see. This is where I would recommend you guys to set this over to 2 or 3. But I wouldn't recommend going below that or above that. Just completely up to you guys. All right. Now we have a phone book. Okay. So what does this basically mean? A phone book calls dynamically based on the user's input, business hours, or custom logic and replaces dozens of manual transfer actions with a single centralized phone book. In simple terms, This basically means that instead of having to create a lot of call transfer actions, just as we had it before, now you can create one phone book. And in that one phone book, you can put up to 50 phone numbers with the same type of call transfer, but different phone numbers essentially, and a different reason for transferring the call. So there's no need for you guys to create 50 call transfers. You can just create one phone book action, put all the call transfers and why they should transfer and the phone numbers, and then plug that into an assistant, and now you can transfer to 50 phone numbers. That's basically what this phone book means. All right. And this is what it looks like, right? So you will have the phone number that you're transferring to, and the reason to transfer to that phone number. All right. So hopefully that is simple enough for you guys to understand. Then we have voice isolation. So our new isolation technology can now basically distinguish between an actual speaker and background noises like TV or other people talking or my dog barking sometimes. Um, Basically, we use super good voice isolation to be able to get those background noises off the call itself. Okay. So this essentially, so it has true speaker recognition. Okay. So distinguishes the actual caller from background noises and then eliminating confusion from TVs or other conversations in busy environments. Then we have customizable isolation levels. I'm pretty sure they show it here. So you have the ability to make the isolation levels more extreme or more basic, meaning you can hear the person and background noises a little more as basic, and you can't hear basically anything at all in extreme. That is the reason for that. Okay. And then we have a complete upgrade and then no compromises. So this basically includes all previous noise cancellation capabilities with no performance loss whatsoever. So this is a full improvement, not a replacement at all. Okay. All right. Now we have a structured dialogue engine. Okay, so this basically means that we've reimagined the flow designer, which is the graph one, by upgrading with our new structured dialogue engine called SDE. So this is basically a foundational upgrade that solves the single biggest flaw of LLMs, unpredictability at scale. So with SDE, building, launching, and maintaining advanced voice AI agents is no longer a fragile experiment whatsoever. It's a repeatable, dependable process. So the reliability at scale, so by separating logic from language, SDE virtually eliminates hallucinations and rogue transitions completely. So the maintainability for modular flows, it lets you adjust business logic without really retraining models or rewriting prompts whatsoever. So the speed to scale, you can plug in new flows or integrations in pretty much minutes. There's no fragile mega prompts to untangle or anything of the sort. All right. And then, of course, we have a trustworthy UX, which is completely goal oriented. And then we have compliance completely built in, which is clear, auditable, state based flows that make it easy to meet industry regulations. Okay. This is what it looks like right now. So essentially, this is how you guys are going to be able to have these flow designers. This is like the version 2 of the flow designer itself, just for simplicity, right? And it's going to be very good for you guys to use this. Eventually, you can see right here that we have actions, we have steps integrated into them. It's going to be a very nice solution for you guys to have. All right. Now, we have completely expanded the public API. This means your agent endpoints are fully updated. So all assistant endpoints now have all up-to-date endpoints. Okay. And you can now create, and update all agent parameters via our API. Okay. Another thing is fine-grained parameter control. So parameters include allowed idle time seconds, right? Background noise, consent message, control voice configuration, agent behavior, and call experience with a 29 additional parameters already added onto it. What does this mean? This basically means that if you ever want to change anything from the agent via API, you are now able to do so. Okay? Now, it's a language aware. We have a language aware synthesizer, which is an automatic voice synthesizer that updates when changing language settings to ensure your agents maintain the optimal performance that they need. All right? This is where you're going to be able to find our API documentation for our agent. And as you can see down here, these are all the requests that you can make for the agent itself. Cool. Now we're going to go into the advanced flow designer. So what does this mean? This is one of the most reliable ways to have a conversation flow. So this is where we're going to be able to have deterministic rules. Just going off of my head on this one, right? We're going to be able to have deterministic rules, which, to give you guys an example, as I mentioned, I'm a very big example guy. Let's imagine you go in, right? Back to the healthcare clinic example. Somebody calls in, and one of the things that the voice AI assistant wants to gather is if they are a new patient or an existing patient. I'm sure some of you guys have already gone through this. This basically means that if they are a new patient, you're going to be able to place a variable, right, that collects this information if they're a new patient or if they're an existing patient. So you will basically make a variable within the graph prompt, and let's see if it shows here. Yeah, right here. This variable right here will be able to gather the fact of them being a new patient or an existing patient. And then with a branch, now we added deterministic rules within those branches that mean that they run off of code specifically. They don't run off of LLM judgment. You have an option to choose LLM judgment. But in this case, right, if you want to make it really specific and only go down one path, depending on that variable, then you're going to be able to do so now. So this is one of the main things for the advanced flow designer. And then, of course, we have branching logic, which I explained briefly right now. And then it just makes an overall way more reliable conversational flow having these things already implemented onto it. Okay? So here we have dynamic transfers. Moving on to the next feature. All right? So this has been a highly requested feature. Now you have the ability to transfer calls dynamically based on conversation text, inputs, or business logic. No manual steps required whatsoever. So this means that it is context aware, and it basically uses a conversation variable and conditional logic to send calls exactly where they need to go. Meaning, if somebody says, "Hey, I need to get transferred," or let's say in the prompt you mentioned, "Hey, I'm gonna need to transfer you to this number." You can use that specific number without it being a call transfer action, and then it uses one dynamic transfer, right? And grabs that phone number and plugs it into the call transfer action so that way it can use a dynamic phone number every time that it makes a transfer. Hopefully that kind of made sense for you guys. But to simplify things, right, with an example, it pretty much means that if somebody calls in and they want to have let's say it's a pretty hard setup where you have a voice AI assistant that needs to transfer to hundreds of phone numbers, depending on who picks up the phone number, let's say, or who is mostly available from a sales department, for example. Um, that person that's first available from that sales department, it can grab the phone number from that person and plug it in to a call transfer action dynamically, right? So you won't need to preset every single phone number again. It can run off of a dynamic transfer. So hopefully that made sense for you guys. Now we have, of course, WhatsApp business calls. So WhatsApp business calls, pretty much what this means is you are going to be able to receive a phone call whenever somebody calls you through WhatsApp. So this is a very, very good zero friction access entry for customers to make direct calls through WhatsApp. It's going to be very easy to set up. You just connect your WhatsApp account, and then you're going to be able to have people call your voice AI assistant using that. So it has a unified experience. So your existing prompts, routing logic, and integrations work seamlessly across the channels. And then, of course, it's enterprise ready, which is built with compliancy and scalability at mind. Okay. So you can control and roll out globally with pretty much confidence in your voice AI assistant when doing this. Okay. Now, we also have one of my favorites and hopefully one of your guys' favorites as well, test center and simulations. What does this mean? If you guys ever build out a voice AI assistant that you want to test out, but you hate picking up your phone and then having to dial it every single time to test out the voice AI assistant, now all you need to do is make one singular use case for your voice AI assistant, right, in the test center, and then launch that voice AI assistant to test the voice AI assistant that you've prepared and are getting ready to launch. Simple terms. You are having a voice AI test another voice AI, and it's the test center is going to give you feedback on what went right, what went wrong, what could be better, all these things. That's the simplest that I can put it. But hopefully that makes sense for each of you guys. And this is what it looks like. It'll show you that we will have criterias that are met and you can set up yourself. And then criterias that are not met and you can set up yourself as well. Uh, Essentially, it just helps you go through the process that you would normally go through on a normal phone call, but you aren't able to meet all the criteria. You don't even know what you're searching for with criteria. This helps you every step of the way to make sure that you get everything that you need off of every single test call. And we're going to be improving on it so much to the point where you're going to be able to have your test voice AI change languages, change the way that it speaks, and then test out very specific methods. Whatever you want to do with it, we're gonna be make sure that it is viable for you to go through and listen through it. Okay. Now we have recording and transcription toggle. Okay. So this is something that we didn't have before. I'm sure you guys have probably realized a good amount of this before already. But now you can pretty much turn on your recordings or turn off your recordings. And the same thing with transcriptions, right? So this is basically a set and forget configuration where you enable consent requirements across all agents from a single settings panel or via API. And then you also have personalized messaging, right? So customize exactly what your agent says when requesting recording permission and all these things. So this is super developer friendly and it's very easy to set up at the end of the day. Keith, by the way, I see you as well. I'm going to answer all your questions at the end of this. So thank you for asking. Um, and then, of course, it is, you can, like I mentioned, turn on and off your recording easily off the call configurations settings from the agents tab. Okay. Now we have going more towards the admin side and that kind of like managing sub accounts and all that stuff. This is where we get a little more intricate, right? So now we have secure invites. So sending invitation links that only work for the intended recipient with automatic workspace access when they sign up. So this is a foolproof security, uh, which has invitation links that are bound to specific email addresses, preventing unauthorized access. So not everybody can use your invite link. Okay. So then we have zero admin overhead, which is matching email addresses automatically grant workspace access without manual approval. And then lastly, we have clear user experience, which is mismatched emails to get helpful guidance to request new invitations, right? So here's where you're going to be able to invite your users, and it's going to be a very seamless experience. You just put in their email here, sends an invite, and then that's it. Boom. They're going to be able to have that. Right? Now we have role management. Once again, one of my favorites. because now you're able to add multiple admins. So the super admin retains full organization control and is the primary workspace contact, while admins, which can now be multiple, can manage user roles, like, and billing, uh, and API keys and stuff like that, right? So the members remain unchanged with access to core features only. So this essentially means that now you can make multiple people admins, as you can see right here. There's still one super admin, which is the person that probably bought the account itself. And you have the ability, now admins have the ability to change in settings and all that stuff. This is for more of the enterprise level where you're going to be able to have your access and many people managing multiple sub accounts, as an example. All right. So a huge thank you from the entire team for you guys even waiting for all these features to come out. I'm very excited to keep coming out with new features as we go on. Uh, we are going to be we are basically going to be making sure that every single one of these features are top notch for you guys. And this is a picture of our team on one of the offsites that we actually had not that long ago, a month from now, and we are very dedicated for you guys. All right. So we're going to make sure all of these things go into play. We hit the market with the best voice AI possible. And that is our goal for you guys. All right. So let's move on to questions. Keith, I know you have some of the questions here. So let's go over a good amount of them, right? And every one of you guys, if you guys want to go ahead and drop down some of the questions below, I'll be happy to answer. If there's not many questions, no worries. I'll answer the ones that are available, wait a couple minutes, and then we'll go from there. So the first one, would you be able to prioritize different reps for the same thing with that? Would you mind letting me know which one this was referring to, Keith? Like if I wanted my top producer to get a little more priority for inbound calls. I might need a little more explanation on that. I believe what you mean is if you wanted to prioritize outbound calls, for example, maybe. Um, I believe there's a way to do this, yes, but it would have to be done via automation. But we could definitely discuss. That's no problem. I'm sure we can make that happen. That was the phone book feature. Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. So we'd be able to prioritize different reps for the same thing with that. And like if I wanted my top producer to get a little more priority for inbound calls. So we don't actually have prioritization when it comes to the phone book yet, of course. But that's actually a very good feature request that we could consider adding. That's definitely going to be a very good one. Right now, the prioritization um, is not there yet. But that's a definitely one thing that we would be looking to add. All right. And I thought the phone book feature was like a dynamic internal call routing, but maybe I missed something. No, so the phone book is basically you put in a bunch of phone numbers, right? And then a bunch of reasons to transfer to those phone numbers. It's like if you had a bunch of departments essentially. And the goal is to not have you guys make a bunch of call actions, for example. All right. Now, what you're looking for, Keith, with prioritization, that is actually going to be possible with dynamic transfers. Okay. Not the phone book itself, but dynamic transfers. Why? Because you're going to be able to determine who is the most important off of your list of phone numbers and then dynamically use their phone number, the one that's the most important essentially, to transfer to that specific phone number. So this is something that you would set up within the assistant itself. Let me move this here. This is something that you would set up within the dynamic transfer and in the assistant itself, but not with phone books. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, you can have the ability to make dynamic transfers now, meaning you can choose any phone number in the world that you want to transfer to, but you will need to make sure that you have that prioritization already in there. Okay, cool. And we have a couple more as well. Does the texting feature pair with the call analysis feature that you mentioned previously? It does not. Um, it does not. But the goal of the testing feature is for you to not even need to use the call analysis. We want to make sure that the call analysis is mainly for live data, live calls that you want to see the results from, not from test calls. Okay? So this we will get you guys a normal view for your test um for all your tests that you'll be doing with the auto voice AI tester. All right? But not with the call analysis. Okay? So you'll have your own view with that, with the inside the test center. All right, is what it's called. So hopefully that answers your question, Keith. And then we have another question here from Dave. So one question was that I had noticed I had to refresh my screen multiple times over the course of an hour or two. The platform is required to continue to use the platform. Will this continue? So basically, you're having issues with the refreshing the screen multiple times, essentially. This could be many reasons. It could be your browser. It could be something like that. I don't necessarily have uh, this issue, but if you want, right, you can message me within the academy, and I can definitely help you out with this. But if there's any things like these, right, I will definitely be helping you guys out with that. Okay. All right. So here's another one. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about in the future. I was wondering how they might pair up. I'm sure you guys will tie them together in the foreseeable future. Yeah, so it is possible right now with dynamic transferring, which you can do. It's going to be a little bit more difficult, I will say, Keith, but it's there. And but yeah, perfect. Okay. Any other questions that you guys may have? I'll be here for another minute here. Contact rates are arguably one of the most important metrics for a voice AI system. Twilio does not work with my config. With caller ID and synth, will caller ID in synth ever come back? Very good question. I will need to get back to you on this to make sure that caller ID will come back. Um, my guess for now, right, is what we're basically doing is we had caller ID for version 1. I'm 100% sure that we're going to have it back for pretty much the version that we're currently in for the voice AI, but we have bigger priorities at the moment. Why? It's because even if you have a caller ID, right, you will not have the ability to keep that caller ID for long because, and I'll tell you why, is because phone numbers usually get marked as spam after 150 to 200 calls. Okay? So keep that in mind. What we are doing is we're actually coming up with a different feature that it's going to help you guys have more of your phone numbers get marked less as spam. So this is going to be a feature that is going to rotate the phone numbers once you put in a pool of phone numbers. It's called the number pool, right? You're going to put your phone numbers inside the number pool, and in those, it's going to rotate it from the assistant and so on and so forth. We're going to get into like the nitty gritty of all that stuff, but that is essentially one of the things that we have planned for the future, which is going to help with this. And once we have that going, then we're going to be looking into adding things like the caller ID back. So hopefully that answers your question. This is obviously a super high level overview of some absolutely crazy stuff you guys just rolled out. I think the abbreviation was SDE. It was just before the flows feature. Do you have any webinars? So I don't have any webinars specifically on the flow feature. I know we have the flow designer webinars that I've made myself, but not specifically on those flow features, right? So um, there's definitely going to be webinar. Oh, I see what you mean. It was broken down into two. So webinars that are planned to be breaking these things down in more detail. Yeah. So there's actually going to be courses that you guys are going to be able to have. So it's a little more for you guys and less of a webinar per se where I need to talk and all that stuff. It's going to be straight to the point, those type of videos, so you guys can actually understand how to use all the features that I've mentioned today. Okay, so all of these will have guides for. Keith. There's a slide. You said there was a slide before the feature flow. Looked even more out of my league than the feature flow. Yeah, there's gonna be levels of like beginner, advanced, and all that stuff. And eventually, right? Um, there's gonna be like, I mean, there's gonna be simplicity. Our goal is for ease of use. So we want to make sure that whenever you guys go in there and start using all these features, it's going to be one and done. You go in there and you test it out, and it just works for you first try. Plus, it's easy for you guys to set up. All right. So we're keeping all these things in mind when making all these product features and enhancements. Okay, perfect. So, with that being said, I do want to thank you guys for joining up today. I will call it now, but I appreciate each and every single one of you taking time out of your Friday to join up and listen to me talk. And yeah, I'm excited for more things in the future. And there's going to be bigger and better things coming always. That's where we're always trying to improve and make everything better. So, thank you guys once again, and I will see you guys in the next one.